Socialism is the most discredited idea in the world after slavery. We don't have a major party, certainly not in the United States, that says, you know, the thing about slavery, guys, is it was a really good idea. The implementation was always poor. This time, we're going to do slavery right. Nobody says that. You can't say that. You would be immediately carried out in a straitjacket. But with socialism, people do say that.
Socialists appear to be a little silly. Check out Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
It's funny you asked this because I was just reading today about how Milton Keynes, a famous economist back...
There's economist Milton Friedman, there's economist John Maynard Keynes, but there's no Milton Keynes. She can't even get the guy's name right.
Is anyone else on the stage concerned about having a Democratic Socialist at the top of the Democratic ticket?
Even so, we have to take socialism seriously. Socialism is no longer on the fringe.
Raise your hand if your government plan would provide coverage for undocumented immigrants. Okay. Let me start.
It has now captured the leadership of the Democratic Party and entered the political and cultural mainstream. First, they insist that capitalism may be efficient, but it's profoundly unjust.
There's plenty of money in this world. There's plenty of money in this country. It's just in the wrong hands.
The old capitalism is gone. The new capitalism is a cruel and evil system.
That ideology is not sustainable and cannot be redeemed.
We have a grotesque and immoral distribution of wealth and income.
Second, who says that socialism doesn't work? It works right now in Scandinavia and all across Europe. The American left wants the successful socialism of Scandinavia, not the failed socialism of Venezuela.
I think we should look to countries like Denmark, like Sweden, and Norway.
Third, the left today advocates identity socialism, a marriage between classic socialism and identity politics.
If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
Our country should be more fearful of white man.
But the thing of it is, the blue wave is African American. Yeah! It's white, it's Latino, it's Asian Pacific Islander. Yes! It is disabled. It is differently abled. Yes! It is LGBTQ. Yes! It is made up of those who've been told that they are not worthy of being here. Yes! It is comprised of those who are documented and undocumented. Yes!
For Marx, socialism was about class division. But for Democrats today, the division in society isn't just between the capitalists and the workers. It's also about whites versus blacks, males versus females, straight versus gay, legal versus illegal. Fourth, the left rejects the authoritarian socialism of Lenin, Stalin, and Mao. It prefers democratic socialism. They want the same democracy that we have in the political arena to extend to the economic arena.
Socialism is everybody has a seat at the table and everybody gets a slice of the pie.
Emphasis in democratic socialism is on democracy.
We need to make the moral case for capitalism and show that its rewards are just. We need to expose the Scandinavian illusion. We must discredit identity socialism on its own terms. We need to show that socialism, even democratic socialism, inevitably leads to misery and tyranny. More than anything else, what defines the socialist left is the promise of free stuff.
Free. They should be free.
They will receive $500 a month.
$1,000 a month. Child care for all working families.
Cancel student loan debt.
Free college.
Tuition free.
Medicare for all.
Any doctor they want, any hospital they want.
When the socialists say free, what they mean is someone else is going to pay. The left justifies robbing Peter to pay Paul with the concept of majority rule. But the very idea that a majority, even a democratic majority, can seize our money is unjust. Should 51% of Americans have the right to take away your possessions? Whether it's a socialist dictator or a socialist majority that takes your stuff, either way, you're being robbed. And then we have the Green New Deal.
The world is going to end in 12 years if we don't address climate change.
I think it is the existential threat to humanity.
You know that movie, The Day After Tomorrow? It's today.
No challenge poses a greater threat to future generations than climate change.
Great news, because the Obamas
are officially Martha's Vineyard residents. They just bought a 6,900 square foot home for $11.75 million.
And here's the Biden's beach house in Rehoboth Beach. Clearly, they don't think the coast will be underwater. What's the point of this racket? It's to exploit the politics of fear, to get us to agree to things that we wouldn't otherwise. Just like with coronavirus.
What's the opportunity, to your question, for reimagining a more progressive era as it relates to capitalism?
Only in America does the president, when the president tweets about liberation, does he mean go back to work? I think a lot of people should just say, no, we're not going back to that.
The best thing going for the socialist agenda is the moral anxiety about capitalism. Does capitalism allocate rewards fairly? The uniqueness of capitalism is that it's based on entrepreneurs who take chances. The test case we've chosen just happens to be the President of the United States. For most of his career, he was the quintessential capitalist. The entrepreneur's psychology is different than most. You can see this from an incident in the 1990s when Trump was deeply in debt.
Anything else? There you go, sir. God bless.
Isn't that just so sad?
He's a beggar, but he's worth about 900 million more than me.
The deepest critique of what capitalists actually do comes from Marx. In his view, capitalists supply only capital. Other than that, they do nothing. Therefore, a company's profits belong entirely to its workers. Is Marx right? Let's consider one of Trump's earliest deals. The starting point of Donald Trump's career, he writes in his best-known book, The Art of the Deal, was his realization of his own ambition.
My father did very well building low-income buildings in Queens and Brooklyn, but I didn't want to be in the same business as him. I wanted Manhattan. I was out to build something monumental. This was the 70s, and the city was in the dumps. But where people saw crisis, I saw opportunity. I knew 4 hotels for sale. The 4th was in big trouble. The Commodore Hotel had been losing money for years. Nobody wanted to touch it. But I saw a superb location. Millions of affluent people pass by the location every day. The problem was the hotel, not the location. Because the hotel was a loser, I was able to negotiate the price down to $10 million. At 27, did I have 10 million? No. Did I know how to run a hotel? No, but I had a vision. With my option to buy the Commodore in hand, which didn't cost me a cent, I sold my vision to Hyatt. I'd build it, they'd run it. Now that I had the option and the top hotel chain in the country, it was time to find the money for the hotel and the renovations. I went to my father. He refused to believe I was serious. So, with my option to buy the Commodore, I went to the banks, many of them. People fought me on the renovation, saying we could save millions by just refurbishing the old Commodore. But why put lipstick on a pig? No, this place needs to be an event. I even got pushback on replacing the historical brick with highly reflective glass. By choosing this glass, I've created 4 walls of mirrors. Now, when you go across 42nd Street and look up at the Grand Hyatt, you see Grand Central, the Chrysler Building, and all the other landmarks this city has to offer. New York City, the Hyatt, then banks, and myself all benefited from my deal.
What's the drive, Donald, that you don't have to do this anymore, that keeps you wanting to build more and more?
It's a creative process, Larry, and it really gives you something to do with your life, and it's something that you can feel fulfilled and proud of when you're finished, if you do a good job.
So the one thing that Marx said capitalists provide, namely capital, they typically don't provide. The other things that capitalists do provide, vision, organization, assumption of risk, marketing, Marx ignored completely.
No one ever makes $1 billion. You take $1 billion.
The most successful entrepreneurs don't just supply wants and needs, they anticipate them. Nobody wrote a letter to Steve Jobs telling him to make a phone that would do email and take photographs, play music, and show movies. He invented it and built it before we knew we couldn't live without it. This is capitalism's trump card. It encourages creativity and empathy and then puts them at the service of the wants and needs of people. The inequality the socialist left despises isn't created by entrepreneurs. It's created by us. The proud boast of democratic socialism is that it puts the people in charge of the economy. What control do you have over the post office or the DMV? We vote in elections every 2 or 4 years, but as consumers, we exercise our choices daily, directly through the market. The free market is far more reflective of popular consent than democratic socialism. We don't have to extend democracy from the political to the economic sphere because we already have it. Capitalism, not socialism, is the true form of social justice.